Hey folks, welcome back to Make It Good. Today I'm going to walk you through how to restore an old rusty vise. A good bench vise is an awesome multifunctional tool to have in your workshop. For woodworking, you can use them to hold your projects while you drill them or sand them or cut them. You can use them as a clamp for attaching items or gluing them together. You can use them for metalworking. They're great for holding items while you're shaping them or drilling them or cutting them. There's just a ton of uses for a good bench vise, and they're an awesome tool to have on your workbench. This vise in particular belonged to my grandfather. He was a small engine repairman, and he had this thing in his workshop for who knows how long, years and years. And I ended up with it, and I wanted to kind of restore it, bring it back to its old former glory. It had seen many years of work and had its good amount of scars and dings and dents, but it was still a functional vise, so I wanted to make it look nice. So let me show you what I did to restore this old vise and make it look as good as it possibly could. This is the condition of the vise when I received it from my grandfather's shop, and I used it for several years in this condition. It worked just fine. When I decided to restore the vise, I wanted to make sure I knew which manufacturer it was. I had these numbers stamped in the metal to kind of lead me to the fact that it might be a Wilton vise. So I reached out to Wilton, sent them the photos, and they confirmed that this was an older model Wilton vise. So I started by completely disassembling the vise and taking an assessment of all the parts to make sure they were in working order. I had to find replacement screws for the jaw plates, and I broke a clip as I was taking the spindle apart. But other than that, other than some pitting, everything was in pretty decent shape. I placed all of the vise pieces in a 5-gallon bucket and let it sit overnight in some extra strength white vinegar to start combating the rust so I could start cleaning the metal. After their overnight soak in the vinegar, I took all the pieces out and started working on them with a wire brush and sandpaper. I really took my time, got into all the little crevices and cracks to remove as much of the rust as I possibly could so that the work that I'm doing on this vise lasts a long time. I took some metal polish to the screw spindle, the lockdown handle, and the jaw plates to just shine them up a little bit. I cleaned the rest of the parts with acetone to remove the debris and any remaining vinegar to prep them for paint. I used Rust-Oleum hammered spray paint. It's a little thicker paint, and with the hammered texture it kind of covered up some of the pitting that came from the rust before. The color is antique pewter, and I really do like how it looks on the vise. Gives it kind of a classic look. Next, I reassembled the vise. I put grease on all the moving components, and I found a clip to replace the one that broke on the spindle. The work I put into this vise in preparing it for the restoration really comes through in the final product. The paint turned out well. It has a great patina that shows it's an older, used vise, and I really like the way it turned out. But there was one thing that was missing. When I reached out to Wilton before to identify the vise, I also inquired if there was some sort of decal that was supposed to go within this indentation in the side of the vise. They did confirm that there was, and they sent me 4 just to make sure I had the right one. Finally, it was time to install the vise on my workbench. I mounted the vise to the corner of the workbench so that I could get to it at multiple angles when needed. It allows me to get longer pieces in here to work with. I have since changed out these regular nuts with wing nuts just in case I need to remove the vise and use the whole workbench. And so here it sits 6 years after I finished this restoration. I still use it all the time. It looks great, it works great, and I love that this was my grandfather's vise that he used in his workshop and that I get to use in mine. I really enjoyed this process, and I hope you did too. If you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, please subscribe to the channel. If you do subscribe, hit that notification button so you know when I post new videos. I appreciate each and every one of you following along. Y'all get out there and make it good. Thanks a lot.